Synergetic journal videos of my individual continuous non-political manifesto, May 14-15, 2026. Depending on self-other defeating governmental hierarchies. The closest approach to eternity in God, Part 18, Christina Herlofson's ongoing Synergetics research project. Humans are mistakenly educated to depend on self-other defeating governmental hierarchies. Paraphrased from Oxford University Press Dictionary and Thesaurus, a hierarchy can be a series of ordered groupings of people or things within a system as an ordered ranking system according to status and authority arranged relative to importance or inclusiveness. A hierarchy inadvertently and or intentionally excludes various echelons of the sociological populations for variously rationalized and justified reasons. The organization of people at different ranks in an administrative body is a hierarchy. A hierarchy can be the clergy of a religious church and theology's imaginable order of angels and similar types of imaginable beings. The word hierarchy originated from Greek hierarchic, from hierarchies, sacred ruler. Over decades, developing my Synergetics research project, observing the world's reenacting articulations and memories, stored experiences from my lifetime education, and developing personality. Mindful of Synergetics, I wrote the acronym UIVMOFCH, Universe, Isotropic, Vector, Matrix, Operational Field, Cosmic Hierarchy. See color plate number 9 in Synergetics. UIVMOFCH is one of the two major acronyms, as counterpoints, for re-establishing differently manifesting anticipatory design science realities. The oppositely redirecting acronym is PRJMWBSHM: Politics, Religion, Justice, Military, War, Belief System, Hierarchical Matrix. Viewers of my video can make note of these comparative reality bases while also knowing YouTube channel limits the length of my videos to 15 minutes, to which I have adapted, albeit feeling constrained by it. I realize reading, scrolling text, and listening is easier for interest in new approaches to as yet unresolved subject matter. Generalized content disseminated thus explores important subject matter directly to the observer without also being distracted by variously interviewed personalities who tell their story but seem always to omit, by default, programming the generalized content that is likewise excluded in the world's education systems from earliest childhood, thereby neglecting conscionable concern for the learning environment at every public viewing. So I purposely changed that popularized pace by presenting scrolled, readable content which for the most part paraphrases R. Buckminster Fuller's Synergetics explorations in the geometry of thinking, which is nature's coordinate system. This interpretation reflects my observations of the world's reenacting articulations that highly value our Buckminster Fuller's extensive anticipatory design science mensurations, measuring, thought language with great examples for the paraphrasing method. Paraphrasing is essential to the research writer's interest in developing etymological insights and outlooks. It far exceeds superficially glanced overs or the potential AI intervention. That cannot possibly incorporate intuition and spontaneously inspired EISEDP, experiences, intuition, speculations, experiments, discoveries, productions. EISEDP is among the succession of self-regenerative human events found in Synergetics 522.02. Links listed at the end of this video is to whatever I am referencing, intending clarity and verification. A vivid example on YouTube that details forensic investigation is shown in Between Two Beers podcast. The forensic scientist who investigated 160 murders and lost himself in the process, Reuben Miller. While psychological emphasis and personal experience in this particular podcast made it clear that as yet no one in that stage scenario traced anything to an omni-considerate solution, not considering how the PRJ, politics, religion, justice, and especially the justice system, is less interested in the enormous expense to the taxpayer, the expensive costs that reap massive salaries to the highly touted legal professions in its performances than clarifying the distinct difference between being a human before inhumanity crosses into being non-human. A non-human can also include armies of robots to replace humans that do not value precious life to such an inviolable degree, and self-discipline, the only discipline that gives way to emulative standards which justify radical behavior extremes as well as playing out the inherited detriments from earliest human histories, as if the deviance is intended to survive throughout all the ages and not to be eradicated from the earth. Humans align our naturally cooperative nature with the trusted authority, expecting its knowledge will protect and save us from destructive steps, otherwise possibly leading to worsening outcomes that the immature, inexperienced personalities cannot begin imagining. Children, especially, have no omni-interrelating reason for imagining worsening outcomes during any phase, stage, or proclivity in TEUCP, the evolving universal communication process. Imagining worst-case scenarios affecting the psyche, personality, perspectives, perceptions, and the philosophical values taken into the developing individual's complicated personalizations related to competitive games, scoring points, winning, getting even, retaliation, vengeance, and various degrees of love, hate, blame, shame, punishment. These actions and reactions in the human event scenarios can perversely develop, coinciding with a predacious inclination and increasing desire for more perverse satisfaction. Subsequent to such deviance that exploits humans, mostly women in the world, who are victimized at the hands of the perpetrator, can be classified as a type of non-human resourcefulness. Once that threshold has been violated between human and non-human, there is no way of undoing the harm done to the victims who in these forensically invested cases dies as a result of the atrocity. It well may be that the offender who devalues a human being, man, woman, or child, for any self-serving gratification to the worst extremes of torture and death realizes there is no returning to being a human who may once have valued precious life, its own included, before resorting to purposely undisciplined behavior, eventuating as a serial offender who continues performing within any of the PRJ scenario parameters, the politics, religion, justice, unresolvable factorizations. Most of our humanity considers politics, religion, justice a trustworthy provider of compassionate solutions. But this is not always the case. Instead, the PRJ represents convoluted, interrelated contextual accommodation systems for various derangements to play out. In that process is a fervent need to protect politics, religion, justice from usurpation, as great care is given to uphold its highest standards, regardless that it cannot be considered a structural system in its own right. PRJ is not an omni-interrelationship. The PRJ contextual parameters originated from a matrix of ignorance, the womb of permitted ignorance, millenniums ago. Omni-interrelationships correlate with optimum understanding God as a verb. The human mind's metaphysical intellect's verbing of integrity consciously cognizes omni-interpulsative, cosmically eternal totality of interminable scenario universe compared to eternal omniscient mind's verbing of integrity. We must explore the word verb, V-E-R-B, finding in the dictionary the copula, an equating verb that can be consciously associated with becoming, that seems to be a conscionable alternative option for the anticipatory design science-minded realities that technically and literally starts with universe and or the vector equilibrium. Doing so correlates with recognizing the verb as an action which cosmically, logically involves reaction and resultant, illustrated as conceptual systems in these synergetic figures. Synergetics figure 108.01, triangle and tetrahedron, synergy 1 + 1 = 4. Synergetics 511.10, two triangular energy events make tetrahedron. Synergetics figure 620.06, tetrahedron as vectorial model of quantum. Synergetics 935.23, proton and neutron, 3 vector teams. Until next time, thank you. Gratefully, faithfully, eternally, Christina Herlofson. Contact herlofsoncristina@gmail.com.